This Hangout on air is live. We are live on YouTube. The Horsemen Hangout, September 29th, 2015, brought to you live here on the YouTubes. I am your host, Mr. Justin. Joining us, we are glad to have a returning member of the Four Horsemen, Mr. Anthony Zorzi. What's up, Z?
What's going on, guys? Glad to be back. Glad to be back.
Hold on, let me play the sound effect here if I can get to it here. Wait a minute. Hold on. If I could get it here. Here we go. Yeah, he's back.
He's back. And that brings me to our second contestant here, or participant, Mr. Lane, Sir. How are you, Pizza?
I'm doing good, man. I was just a little bit surprised to do this show, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Mr. Rue TV, there he's snacking on something. What are you snacking on?
These are pretzels. Mr. Lane, Mr. Lane's got cookies, it looks like.
Chocolate chip cookies.
In the shape of a moon. Mr. Lane, what surprised you about doing this show tonight? I don't get it.
No, well, it just came out of nowhere like an RKO, you know.
Mr. Lane, did you see the blood moon last night?
Nah.
Sunday night.
Oh yeah, it was Sunday night. Stephen Page, who joins us. Did you see the blood moon?
I think he's muted. He's still muted from last week.
Are you there? It's a lot clearer. You got a new computer, it seems like. It's working well. I can't hear you, though. Shucks.
He's muted.
Well, were you guys muted when you first started doing the Hangouts? How did that work?
You have to allow your computer to access like Google Microphone. You have to hit like allow, and then it will work.
Do you hear that, Steve? Nod.
Hey, Steve.
Steve nods. Let's see. You're not muted, so it's on your end. You're good on like my controls here. So.
But now.
All right. I'll let you work through the technical difficulties. Keep shouting. Once we hear you, we'll say something.
Hear me now.
But
yeah,
anyway.
Yes.
Heard you.
Okay.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Got him.
Oh, there you go. Loud and clear from New Hampshire.
All the way from New
What's going on, Steve?
Not too much.
Cool. All right, so we're here on the Horseman Hangout. We got a full 5 people here. A lot to talk about. Unfortunately, not much wrestling related because I watched a little bit of Raw and it was pure shoot. It was crap last night. But nevertheless, it's the end of September, coming in on October. Mr. Root TV, I saw you had a nice little snack from Burger King. We'll lead off with some fast food talk. Tell us about your experience at the king of Whoppers, Burger King.
Well, I decided to buy a Whopper, a Halloween Whopper. Now, the big selling point is the buns are black, and it's infused with A1 sauce and A1 juices. And I ate it, and it was pretty good, although I gave it a thumbs down because I thought it could be somewhat different than a regular Whopper, even though I enjoyed it. But the funny thing is, today when I was on the toilet, I took a number 2, to keep it PC here, and I noticed that what came out was very bright green, and I was kind of scared crapless. And I realized that it wasn't the broccoli that I ate for dinner. It wasn't a sick disease like I thought I had because I Googled it. What does green stool mean? It was from the Halloween Whopper, and it is part of one of the aspects, of the secret part of what happens when you eat a Halloween Whopper. You get green poop. And then I Twitter searched it, and about a dozen other people came up with saying that their poop turn quite green after they eat a Halloween Whopper.
I won't be eating that burger.
And I'm not talking about, like, listen, I'm not talking about sometimes when you eat we're getting graphic here, but that's okay. This is natural. This is like doctors talk, Dr. Oz. When you eat asparagus, sometimes your stool could turn to dark, maybe a vegetable color. I'm talking about like a high C green lime Slimer color. I was scared shitless because
Well,
my poop was.
Mr. Lane, I'll ask you: buy or sell? Buy or sell the?
That's what I got to say about this. TMI.
Brought to you by the Burger King Boogie Board. The Boogie Board tonight brought to you by
TMI.
Burger King.
I saw. Well, just to answer the question, I have to sell it. But however, Burger King. I don't know if you all saw this last year or not, but I think in Japan they did a similar sandwich.
Oh, wait a minute.
In Japan,
But-
where what? What's up?
In Japan, the version of this Halloween Whopper had black cheese on it.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. Is that they did a very similar burger in Japan. I think it was around last year because I do remember that vividly. They did a burger in Japan
Right.
last year, which you are correct. It did have black cheese, and it was like basically a black Whopper is what it was, and that's what they were serving in Japan. I'm thinking it just reminds me of that.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said I'm good with black cheese. My association with food is that cheese should not be black.
Okay. Yeah, but I saw this. See, no, because Burger Kings in Japan were doing this last year. That's the perception I get.
don't care.
Burgers one in Japan get black cheese.
Steve, are you a chef or you went to cooking school or something?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Well, black cheese obviously comes from cows of a different descent.
Yeah.
Now I have a question for Mr. Ryan. Did the bun taste any different, or was it your standard, typical?
Well, the black bun
Well,
that I ate.
describe the flavor and the texture.
I didn't ask about the black buns. Okay.
Can you please describe the flavor and the texture?
All right. Well,
Of the
before
black buns.
I have to hit the obvious. My anaconda don't want none unless you got black buns. All right. The black buns are pretty good. The texture was a little different than a normal Whopper, but the flavor wasn't too off. It just had a little bit of A1 taste. Kind of a gimmick, man. Really, the biggest thing for me was the look of it and what it made your poo-poo look like afterwards.
Okay, let's move on from poo-poo talk.
All right. I thought it was fun.
All right.
I thought it was fun to maybe like go around the horn and ask how everyone's poop has been this evening.
My poop is fine, thanks.
So I guess in closing, to kind of wrap this up here, the black buns had a bit of a bun flavor with a bun texture.
You could say it had a little bun flavor with sort of a bun texture, and yeah, Z, yeah, you're right.
All right. I gotta ask power rankings wise. Now that we're on the subject, Mr. Lane, put the Burger King boogie board down. Tell me your number one fast food burger.
Oh, good question. That's a good question. Fast food burger. Honestly, this was years ago. This had to do with Burger King. I would say the triple cheeseburger from Burger King. That's like my personal favorite. They used to sell that over 20 years ago. I remember buying it when I was in LA. Triple cheeseburger.
Mr.
Yeah.
Lane, now triple cheeseburger, I just want to break down one part of it, and it's the aspect, the part that people are getting grossed out at are the black buns. So my question to you, if you had the choice, putting you on the spot, black buns or white buns for a burger? Black buns or white buns? What do you select?
It's a no-brainer, the white buns, man. Come on. This was similar to the Japan burger from last year. I tried to tell you all this.
Those are like yellow buns, aren't they? Japan?
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, the yellow buns, that's like a normal color. But the burger that Rue was doing on YouTube, and I saw the video, by the way.
Well, thank you for watching.
Yeah, I saw the video. I saw it, man. I saw your link.
It was a pretty good review, right?
As well, Mr. Rue.
All right. Steve, what's your number one burger?
I think it would be the Angus burger from McDonald's.
I haven't tried that one yet, but I hear good things. Rue, your favorite burger?
I used to love Fuddruckers burgers, but the one near us closed.
Gotta go to Delaware now. You gotta go to Delaware to go to a Fuddruckers, by the way. It's not too far from the Christiana Mall, by the way. That's like the nearest Fuddruckers.
I didn't know that. I live near there. Mr.
Five
Z,
Guys are pretty good as well. Their burgers are pretty good.
Mr. Z, your best burger?
Fast food wise, I like the Wendy's Junior Bacon Cheeseburger.
There you go. I will go the obvious here, I think, and I'll go Five Guys. They're it's one of the best. I haven't had it in a while. But delicious. Anyway, moving on.
Very good.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Moving on. Not to talk about. I heard today that Mr. Z. I know you weren't here last week, but on the Hangout, Stephen Page had an announcement for us, and he announced that he is going to
Texas Stadium or ATT Stadium in Dallas.
All right.
Going to
I
WrestleMania.
assume you're not going for a Cowboys game. It's got to be for WrestleMania.
I'm going for WrestleMania, of course.
All right. That's awesome.
He's going to WrestleMania.
I'm going to
I just found
Jerry,
out-
as they call it.
I have been there twice before, and it is a palace, to say the least. You're going to have a blast.
Will they have the dancers in the cages, the cheerleaders for WrestleMania? You think, Z?
Maybe. You never know. I know it's a PG product, but they're there for football games. It'd be cool if they were there for WrestleMania.
Maybe they have the divas doing it. They have the
Maybe
divas.
they'll have the divas do it. Maybe they'll bring back Kelly Kelly and she'll have a little expose in the cages.
Maybe they'll toss out some black buns and white buns at the crowd. All right. Anyway, I heard today that the next two Summer Slams will again be in Brooklyn. So it's going to be tempting to go to New York for those, but we'll see the next two summers what comes of it. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe all five of us go. Maybe four of us go. Maybe three of us go. Maybe none of us go. Who knows? Maybe the WWE won't even be in existence then because they have a $50 billion shortfall and they need to come up with money or something. I don't know.
Well, then
Anyway.
in that case, we'd have we'd have to do a Kickstarter for him.
Yeah, we'd have to think of something.
I got an idea.
What?
Well, I'll tell you off the air.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get into a little bit of baseball, even though a lot of people are focused on football. Many of you saw this past week the Phillies were playing the Nationals. No one really saw it live because football was on, but at least I didn't. Jonathan Papelbon choking, going after the National League MVP unanimously, soon to be unanimous, Bryce Harper.
Oh, man.
Brought out some strong opinions on Twitter about who was in the right and who was in the wrong, and I'll go to Mr. Z here. I think I know which way he leans towards this, but can you just say some words on one Mr. Cinco Ocho?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we have the history with Jonathan Papelbon. He's the Phillies' all-time saves leader. He had a great career in Boston, won the World Series. But here's the thing with Papelbon: when you're winning, when you're on a winning team, it's easy to put up with his bullshit. When you're on a losing team like he was in Philadelphia, and then when Washington imploded as the most overrated team in probably the past 10 years, the Washington Nationals. He's a clubhouse cancer, regardless of how he produces on the field, and to go after your franchise player, a face of the league, like Justin said, an NL MVP is Bush League. You want to take it up because the guy's not running out of foul ball. There's a time and a place to do it, not in the dugout and not laying your hands on a teammate, let alone a teammate of that clout like Bryce Harper. I'll be straight. I hate Bryce Harper, but Papelbon, his antics, we've seen them for how many years in Philly and now in Washington. They were 3 games up when they traded for Papelbon, and they're on the outside looking in now. So serves them right.
Now, Mr. Z, true or false, this past weekend, you did get to meet one of those bad boy athletes that also had some run-ins with his teammates. Is this true?
This is true. I did meet future Hall of Famer wide receiver Terrell Owens this past weekend, and he was a good guy. Got a nice autographed photo, and T.O. was a cool guy.
There you go, Mr. Lane. Mr. Z just met Terrell Owens.
Nice.
But Mr. Lane, I want to get your thoughts on. Tell me just straight off the bat, who's right and who's wrong? Harper or Papelbon?
I'll just get to the point. Jonathan Papelbon is wrong here because he was supposed to help the Nationals on their quote-unquote playoff push, but that completely backfired. As we all know, the New York Mets I just have to say this, Z, you were partially correct. The New York Mets, as of this past weekend, had already clinched the Eastern Division, just for the record. So the Mets are in the playoffs, first time in about 8 years, 9 years. I think it's 9 years that they've clinched a playoff spot. So Papelbon, it's ridiculous. I think what he did in Philadelphia. He was suspended for, I think it was grabbing his crotch basically last year. I remember that. That was terrible. And then here's the problem. I think the Nationals they overachieved. They were overrated. They were an awful team. They played subpar baseball. The New York Mets really, were the better team in that division. When Yoenis Cespedes got there, and then they had two former Braves that they got too, Kelly Johnson and Juan Uribe. Now Juan Uribe had been traded. This was like the second time this year he's been traded because he was originally a Los Angeles Dodger to start out with. Then he got traded to the Braves, and then from the Braves to the Mets. So having said that, Bryce Harper, he's been raking, as he likes to say. The man is like the most will most likely be the most valuable player in the National League unless there's somebody better. The only three players I could see would be Clayton Kershaw, maybe Jake Arrieta, and maybe Zach Greinke. But those are all pitchers, I think. But Bryce Harper is the most valuable player, I think, in the National League, straight up, because like him or not, the man has had an excellent season. I mean, last year, last year he had a run-in with Matt Williams for not hustling. Matt Williams, who's the manager of the Nationals now. Right. Because he had a run-in, with Bryce Harper for not hustling. Jonathan Papelbon, point I'm just trying to say, y'all, is Jonathan Papelbon straight up wrong for doing what he did. Bryce Harper's doing his job. Unfortunately, the 24 other players on the Nationals are not, and that's a shame. I mean, Scherzer has pitched very solid, and they do have the pitching, but I don't think they have the quality hitting. But the Nationals were awful.
I'll jump in here. Let me jump in here. And Mr. Pager, Mr. Root TV, have anything to add to this before we move on here? I got some trivia to throw at you.
I just want to say real quick, Jonathan Papelbon, since leaving the Red Sox, has had some questionable on-the-field antics. He was a great player for the Red Sox, great pitcher. Remember the 2007 season, remember him walking around with the beer 12-pack on his head.
He's dancing to Dropkick Murphys.
He was a funny guy back then, but he seems like he's, just become an ass. And, I think he's in the wrong here. If you did that to any other person on the streets, you'd go to jail. So
it's like ever since he left Boston, he's been like just a fish out of water. It seems like, especially
Do we know what Bryce Harper said exactly? Maybe I didn't hear it. What did you say? What did Bryce say?
Well, do you know that the series of events, what happened? I don't know what he said. The series of events was Papelbon threw at Manny Machado of the Orioles, and Machado got mad because he said it was near his head, which it was, which he shouldn't have threw that high. If he was going to hit him, it should have been lower, but he hit him, threw at his head, and then he threw again at his head almost, and hit him like in the upper shoulder.
Yeah.
Then after the game, Harper went in the media and said, that old thing is tired, and now I'm going to have to get hit because of it. He was like pissed off at his teammate because of that. So I don't think Harper should have said that in the media, which is stupid anyway. But that's why they started the next day. I think they started getting mad at each other because of that.
So then he didn't run out his pop-up, and then somebody said something. He said something.
Yeah, Papelbon started with him.
When I was watching it, my first instinct was I hope they both kill each other. Because I don't really care for either one of their attitudes. I mean, I supported Pap when he was on the Phillies because, I'm not going to dislike the Phillies or our closer just because he's got an attitude. But the reality is they're both Harper and Papelbon are asshole-ish, if you want to call it that way. So I hope they beat the crap out of each other.
One thing I want to ask Mr. Lane now that the season's over, a lot of pundits, Major League Baseball writers, and whatnot before the season said that the Nationals rotation was better than the 2011 Phillies rotation. Now, I know the Phillies rotation They won 102 games and ultimately lost in the first round of the playoffs. But as an outsider who doesn't root for the Phillies or the Nationals, which rotation was better, 2015 Washington Nationals or 2011 Philadelphia Phillies?
You know what? Well, probably the Phillies had the better rotation. I mean, it was all about Max Scherzer with the Nationals. I mean, they got his ace. They got the ace in Max Scherzer. They signed him to a long-term contract, and you know, I think it was like 7-8 years, something like that. It was a long contract for Max Scherzer, but you know, that's really all they. I mean, Strasburg could, you know, I don't know about Strasburg. Gio Gonzalez is solid. They did have like 6 starting pitchers, Tanner Roark, and he also had Doug Fister, who I think had a subpar year, and I think Fister was a very underrated pitcher.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to say the Phillies 2011 rotation. I would say over the Nationals, because the Nationals, to me, it seems like every time experts pick them to win the World Series or even, you know, win the division, they fall flat on their face. Experts had picked them 2 years ago to do the same thing, and they didn't even win the division. The Braves won their division first time in 8 years at the time, 7-8 years at the time, where they won the division. So the Nationals, I agree with Z, they're overrated right now.
I agree. What a disappointing season they've had. But anyway, I wanted to move on here and talk a little bit about some trivia here. So I hope you guys are ready.
Oh my.
What the heck?
Is this the music you listen to while in the Villanova bathroom there, host?
We're back here. Some technical difficulties.
Why the
The
lights went out?
The lights flickered. Seemed to be. I don't know what happened, but anyway, let's get to trivia. That was I don't know what happened. I had to swept away by a spirit. But all right, now trivia. This week is about this day in trivia, September 29th. So I'm going to deliver a question or an answer, Jeopardy style, and your job is to answer question the answer, I guess, Jeopardy style. So I say, who's the baseball? This is the baseball team in Philadelphia, and you say who are the Phillies? Okay, everybody knows Jeopardy. Everybody knows how to play. Okay.
Who is Turd Ferguson?
All right, question number 1. Okay. All right. 17 years ago today, on Monday Night Raw, this classic prop was introduced to Vince McMahon in a hospital bed.
Bedpan. What is a bedpan?
Sacco.
Who is Sacco?
Correct, Mr. Lane. Who is Sacco is correct answer. You're right, Steve. It was the bedpan, but Sacco was one we were looking for. It was the bedpan edition. But all right, so Mr. Lane gets on the board 1-0.
Did Mr. Lane say it or I said it? I thought I said it.
You didn't say who is Sacco. You said Sacco.
All right.
This is Jeopardy, Rue TV. It's Jeopardy.
All
Justin made it clear, absolutely
That's
clear.
not what your mother said last night.
Ooh.
All right, question number 2. This mega NFL wide receiver was born on this day in 1985.
It was Calvin Johnson.
That is correct, Mr. Z. That'd be one Mr. Megatron Calvin Johnson. There you go. It's 1-1. Mr. Lane versus Mr. Z. Question number 3. In 1996, this video game system debuts in the United States?
What is Super Nintendo?
What year was it again? Repeat it.
96.
What is N64?
Correct, Mr. Lane.
Yeah.
Even was close, but it's not. It wasn't Super Nintendo. It was N64. All right, so Mr. Lane goes up 2-1 here. 2 questions to go.
Super Nintendo.
All right.
Sega Genesis.
Question number 4. On this day in 1920, this slugger belted what was then a Major League record 54th home run in a season.
Who was Babe Ruth?
It was Babe Ruth is correct. That is, we are 2-2, going to the final
John
question.
was coming up with questions when none of us were born.
Well, I knew that. You're right. I think Ant and Mr. Lane would know these ones, but I was actually under the gun. I only had like a half an hour to come up with questions before the show, and this is all I come up with. So sorry. Shit. Okay. Pardon my French. Question number 5, and this is probably also going to go to Mr. Z or Mr. Lane, but here you go. In 1954, this rookie robbed Vic Wertz World Series catch.
Who was Willie Mays?
Willie Mays.
I got it.
In a photo finish, Mr. Z gets it. There you go. He'll be a champion in his return to the Hangout, Mr. Z. Congratulations, Mr. Z. Mr. Lane, can I get some applause, please?
All right, hold on. Let me give Z his props here. Wait a minute. All right, hold on. Hold up. Let me get it here. Okay. All right. Congratulations to Mr. Z.
Thank you, Mr. Lane.
No problem.
To Mr. Z. Okay, moving on. By the way, Mr. Z, we had a guest on the show last week. If you remember, do you remember Smiley Givens?
Yes, I remember Miss Givens very well. How is that rascal doing?
That rascal, Mr. Givens, doing very well, except he was very disruptive on the show last week, and he's not allowed to be back on the show anytime soon. So just wanted to throw that out there. But I hear Rue TV, has a new character, if you will. I've been seeing some teasers on the Twitter. Rue, do you want to comment if this is true, false, speculation, rumor? What can we expect?
Rumor has it there's a Southerner by the name of Herb. I don't know exactly his full name. I know his first name is Herb. And I'm in negotiations right now. I know he just filmed the vignettes, some promos for his debut video, but I'm in negotiations right now to bring him next month, the October, on the Horsemen Hangout. So if he graciously accepts my offer, I will be stepping down for that week, and Herb will take my seat on the panel. But yes, Herb.
You can join. You could be on too, or you don't have to.
Oh, really? I thought you like to keep it small because when we used to have a huge panel, and then you kind of like kiboshed it because you're not into that. So.
All right. Well, if you want to, you guys can be on at the same time. No big deal.
Whatever, dude.
All right, moving on. Anyway, it was a big. Steve, you had a couple of. I have some other topics here, but I wanted to go to you. You said you had a couple of topics you wanted to bring
I
up.
had one. It's not about the feud between Kane and Seth Rollins.
Oh God.
It's not even about the feud. I'll have to bring up a visual here for a minute. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this hair, this god awful hair that Kane has, is wearing right there.
God.
It is just god awful. It is so big that he has to, every time he moves, it, pushes up his mask, and he's like...
Well, you know what Steven, I'm not to cut you off, but somebody said that they think that he should have just gone, with just the mask, for the first time with just the mask and no, hair, because then...
That's what I was going to get to.
He could have gave him sort of like a Bane-type look. But you don't really need the hair, honestly.
It's so obviously fake,
Yeah.
Especially when you just saw Corporate Kane 2 seconds ago.
That's part of the the whole thing. It's like a
That's some miracle grow right there.
Yeah, I'll bottom line it. in about 10 seconds, but that's basically lifted from a TNA angle that they did with Abyss and his alter ego, Joseph Parks. Basically the same type angle.
Is that what WWE's resorting to, ripping off TNA now?
I mean, I don't know if they ripped them off, but it was straight up lifted. I mean, I saw that angle like 2 years ago. So
yeah, I remember that, the Joseph Park Abyss.
Yeah, but anyway, is it like a rite of passage that every time a new guy wins the World Heavyweight, WWE World Heavyweight, they have to get into a 1 month feud with Kane? Is that how it usually goes?
Yeah, Kane or the Big Show.
Yeah, in one of the off pay-per-views, they have to throw one of the big guys at him and bill it as I don't know, just annoying.
I think it's kind of dumb to speaking of number one contenders. I think it's kind of dumb that we can't find out what happened to Sting because they're probably saving it, so he can announce it on a Raw for a ratings pop. But why can't nobody really knows the severity of his neck injury, right?
Not even the wrestling outlets don't know it.
No, nobody reported anything. All they know is it was a bad injury, and I'm sure. I mean, if that's happening, and it is happening, then that means that WWE, Vince or Hunter, has told Sting, stay hush hush, and if you're going to retire, you'll make a big announcement on Raw, and we'll promote it for ratings. So I'm assuming that's what's happening.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway,
the thing with Sting, I like how I don't know if you guys read any of the interviews he did after the injury. He's not blaming Seth Rollins for hurting him.
No, I didn't think so.
Being a class act about it, he's not going on and shooting on Seth Rollins and saying, "Oh, this guy's dangerous." And some guys would do that,
Anybody who no, he wasn't dangerous because it was a protected spot. He hit the turnbuckle. Turnbuckles are padded. Anybody who blames Seth Rollins really doesn't understand. The logistics of the match. It's two people working together. It wasn't like Seth Rollins forced Sting to do anything. And also, there's an agent that puts that match together, and also probably a booker who made the finish. And Seth Rollins had nothing to do with the problems that happened in that match.
Well, I think it all started when he went through the monitor. They should have moved the monitors for one.
I agree, and they should have. He almost busted the back of his head open. Literally, I think it was like an inch away from doing that.
Yeah. So. All right, radio silence there. Steve, anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I thought I had another one, but.
Okay. Well, something I wanted to bring up, more directed at Mr. Z, Mr. Lane, is the state of our football teams. If you turn on Philadelphia Sports Radio, it would seem as if our Eagles are 0-3. Another 1-2, but they might as well be 0-3 because everybody's pretty much had it with our quarterback and our wide receivers and all of that jazz. So I'll just say personally, I don't think they aren't as good as they were overhyped. I still have faith in Chip Kelly, but I have faith in Chip Kelly, the coach. The general manager, I think, he's not a good general manager. Having said that, I still think and Z will agree with me on this, the NFC East is very weak, and I think the Eagles or Dallas could take it. I think even the Giants could take it. So we'll see, but I think any of these four teams aren't going to win the Super Bowl. You could just tell. I mean, so they could strike fire, but I doubt that they'd be able to get by Green Bay or, a team like Arizona or anything. But anyway, Z, your take on the NFC East?
It stinks. It's really bad. I was at the Eagles-Cowboys game 2 weeks ago, and you're taking the teams out of it. It was probably the worst football game I've ever watched. Like, if that game was just on TV and it wasn't my favorite team playing my most hated team, I would have turned it off in the first quarter because it was a horrible game. Obviously the Cowboys have their work cut out for them. I'm a better quarterback than Brandon Weeden. They just have to weather the storm until Romo and Dez Bryant come back, and they're going to get reinforcements after this week when Greg Hardy and Rolando McClain come back from suspension. But the NFC East is wide open. Anyone can take it. I will say that.
Romo out, Mr. Z.
Tony Romo is out until November 22nd.
Which is the week before Thanksgiving, right?
He'll return right before Thanksgiving. He misses the game against Steve's Patriots next week, so that should be an easy win for New England. Like every game for New England should be an easy win because they are absolutely killing it right now. They're so good. But I'll say this about the Eagles. Extremely overrated. Sam Bradford's terrible, and I think Chip Kelly's figured out. But I think he's a good enough coach that he will adjust and succeed. But I just loved how that's a good point, Mr. Lane. The only problem with RG3 to Dallas is if RG3 plays, he has he's due $16 million next year, and he would not fit into the Cowboys' cap plans.
Well, I just thought I'd ask this question: Would you consider Robert Griffin III potentially as a Dallas Cowboy quarterback? Because here's the reason why I asked this is because, he technically lost his job with Washington to Kirk Cousins. So Kirk Cousins is now the quarterback of the Washington football team. So.
He was the first person. I was in a luxury box watching Cowboys Eagles, and when Romo went down, the first thing I said to my cousin was they're going to trade for RG3. But come to find out, like I said, RG3 has a clause in his contract where if he plays an X amount of games, he's due $16 million next year, and I don't think any team's going to trade for that, knowing that he's due $16 million next year.
And then furthermore, they traded for Matt Castle for the Buffalo Bills, right. So Matt Castle's now a Dallas Cowboy for the time being. So, but I'll be honest about the NFL, if I may say something about it at this point. The Eagles have a lot of work to do. It's still and like it or not, I still believe it's still Z's Cowboys division until someone beats them, and that's all I'm going to say.
Well, let me throw out another name to you real quick. Colin Kaepernick, reportedly not too happy in San Fran. Could be a fit in Dallas or in Philadelphia, but I don't think Chip's gonna give up on Bradford. But just throw that out there. No,
sell
Bradford.
I gotta sell Colin Kaepernick because that man was awful. How many interceptions he had last week? I think it was not one. Not two, not three, 4 interceptions. And how many were returned for touchdowns? I believe it was 2.
Because
that was ridiculous.
Yeah, but he's got the talent. He's got the skill. He's proved it before. He's still young, so if he might need to change the scenery.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why, Mr. Z, sir, the Cardinals, I think, should be in the NFC conversation.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. 100% agree. The Cardinals are for real. They're legitimate.
That's what I think they're a legit threat to the Seahawks. The 49ers stunk. They were terrible. Terrible. And I don't know I don't know about the other teams. I know the Rams, they could go either way, but I think the Rams, they'll be lucky if they get 7. They'll be lucky if they get 7.
They like to set their field on fire.
Yeah,
I heard about that. Man, they had to delay that.
Learn from Vince McMahon how to do pyro indoors.
Yeah, the Rams will go as far as their defense will take them. I mean, Todd Gurley, we got to see how good he is. I mean, I don't know if he debuted yet in the NFL or not, but, the Rams will go as far as their defense will take him, to be honest.
The Undertaker must have been in town that day.
I was going to say the Rams will go because I think it's going to boil down really realistically to Seattle and probably Arizona. If Carson Palmer stays healthy, and that's a huge if he stays healthy, if they can run the football, the Cardinals I think are could be a team to watch in the NFC. Although last week we did our Super Bowl predictions. I don't know if Z saw the show last week.
I did not.
I'll admit I'll just get to my prediction. I said this last week. I said straight up it would be the Packers and the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Really a rematch of Super Bowl 31. So it would be that was my personal prediction. I'm going to still stick with it. However, I think the Cardinals are right there, in the conversation, in the mix. The NFC East teams, unless the Cowboys can prove me wrong, the Eagles, I don't know what the heck they're going to do. I mean, I did tell a coworker that the Eagles might win 10 games. I don't think so. An 8-8 team might make the playoffs in that division potentially.
That's right.
Could be an 8-8. It could be an 8-18, maybe in that division.
2008, yeah. The Patriots were what 11-5, and 8-18 made the playoffs over them.
Yeah, that's a different conference there, man. You know.
Yeah. And what's his name? The Giants, when they beat the Patriots in 2004, were 9-7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Goes to show all you got to do is make the playoffs. Go ahead there, Justin. Go ahead, buddy.
Yes, I agree. All you got to do is make the playoffs. Time to rein it in a little bit. Rue TV, what do you think about Promo Mania tonight?
What do I think about it?
Are you ready?
Sure, why not? We'll do a promo mania with whoever wants to tangle.
All right, Mr. Lane, are you in? Is that a new gimmick, a new wrestler you're doing? Sleepy Johnson?
No. I'm having my $1 million dream right now. In other words, I'm not doing the promo mania this week. No, sorry.
Well, you should, Mr. Lane. I'm Ricky Ricardo here on 610 WIP, here live Ricky Ricardo.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's a good. Thank you, Rue. All right, so Mr. Lane, you're not getting it. Tonight's Promo Mania will be, instead of sports entertainment themed, it will be sports themed. So the last time we did this, I believe it was Mr. Rue's Skip Carey versus Mr. Lane's Vin Scully. So I'll give you guys just a couple minutes, couple seconds to think of who you'd like to be. You can't say no to this. There's a no denial. You must do this. I mean, if Z or a Triple H guy, Steven, if you want to join in, you're free to. Holler. All right. So it's going to be one-on-one here, Rue versus Mr. Lane. Mr. Rue, do you have anything in mind about a sports promo mania you could do?
Yeah, I'll do a little something. Yeah, I haven't done this in a while, but I'll try it tonight.
All right, Mr. Lane, do you have anybody in mind?
All right, my name is Stephen A. Smith. Let's get right down to it. I challenge you, Skip Bayless. We are going to have ourselves a sports debate on ESPN. Let's go.
Wow, Stephen A. Smith. Screaming A. Smith, many people like to call him.
Because I've been covering the Philadelphia Inquirer for a long time. I've been writing about Allen Iverson. I've been writing about Charles Barkley. I've been writing about the Philadelphia 76ers. And they're maybe a few years away from rising up to the occasion.
All right, Steven. Thank you. Mr. Root TV, would you respond to Stephen A. Smith?
Well, here's a guy, Stephen A. Smith, who used to play quarterback, and he goes in, he goes left, he goes boom. You got a wide ass over here. You got a foot over here. You got a turkey leg over here. Stephen A. Smith's got wide opinions over here, and boom, there he goes, right down. And thanks, John, to the 20, to the 25, first down, I'm back from the dead, Pat Summerall in the flesh, as I sound like Harry Catless, fuck, all right, yeah, that's my John Madden and Pat Summerall that I haven't done in probably 15 years, so it needs a little work, but that's all I got this week, guys, sorry. Madden.
What the heck was that crap? What was that crap, Root TV? I've seen better promos of you out of you than that, man.
Uh-oh.
What was that? What
Drew,
was that?
I think you need a response. He's calling you out. He's getting heated. Drew, you need to
Mr. Madden, I have a question for you.
Well, let me tell you something, Juicy. Juicy, if you really want to know something about Mr. Lane, Mr. Lane's work rate in these promos have been way down. To tell you the truth,
about you, Mr. Hi, Mr. Lane. Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
Mr.
you're still
Lane, it's been a while. Have you watched any Lucha Underground, sir? Have you?
That's Stephen A. Smith to you there, sir. Mr. Lane ain't even here yet. This is Stephen A. Smith.
You
Get it right.
Stephen, are you a fan of a 3-hour pro wrestling block on Destination America? Stephen, go. Tell me your answer.
Hey, Stephen A. Smith does watch a little bit of wrestling, but I like to watch it probably for, let's see, you'd like to say the Lucha Libres. Back in our day, they were called the Cruiserweights, and they made the show. Not the heavyweights. It was the Cruiserweights that made that show. Made it credibility.
The number one condiment in the world today, Mr. Lane, is JR's barbecue sauce, Chipotle ketchup, and you need to know that you need to put that stuff, Mr. Lane, on everything. You put that, you'll be inspired, Mr. Lane, if you put that on your fries.
Mr. Smith, not Mr. Lane. Get it right there, Mr. JR, or whoever the heck you trying to be. You should change your name to Coach, not JR.
You know what my name is. You should know. You're a smart fan.
Mr. Jim Ross, whoever you are.
I know who you are.
I'm the famous writer from Philadelphia that loves to debate on that show. Let me see, on First Take on ESPN.
I know
it comes on at 10 o'clock.
I know what you're trying to pull, Mr. Lane. I've seen you. I was in Chicago and I saw a little bit of a Ring of Honor. But while I was there, I saw what you're doing, Mr. Lane.
Ring of Honor?
Yeah, great action.
What the heck is Ring of Honor to Stephen A. Smith? Stephen A. Smith has nothing to do with Ring of Honor. This is a sports promo, not a wrestling promo. What are you trying to pull off there, bro? What are you trying to do?
We can go all night, Stephen. Stephen, we can go all night. Now, I know your basketball knowledge is well versed, but your in-ring squared circle knowledge, you can't hold a candle to me, and I appreciate it, and I recognize it rather. And the last thing I'll say is you're just full of WW crap.
Oh well, I might have to get my boy Richard Sherman on you there, Jim Ross. I might have to get Sherman out here.
Speaking of boys, I'm still. Now let me tell you about my boy. It is Mr. Jim Ross, podcast. All right, I'll shut up. We're going too long. All right.
That was great. That was great.
I have a question for you, John Madden. How do you cure your athlete's foot? What product do you use?
Tough acted to that. Oh God, I can't do it. You want to go. All right, got it. You want to go. He's a little nasally. He's a little nasally. I should really copy off of Frank Caliendo. He's just the best. You want to go to tough acted to acting. Boom. You want to pour it all over your foot there. You want to get the pinky toe there. You want to get the big toe there. Or you want to just dump it all over your foot. And then tough acting to acting. Boom. That's all I got. Yeah,
my God. It's from a mania. I'll call it a tie between Mr. Rue and Mr. Lane this week.
Stephen A. Smith, a.k.a. Mr. Lane, was a master debater tonight.
He was.
Well, thank you very much, because Stephen A. Smith is money on ESPN.
You really got his...
That comes up here.
Mr. Lane, I got to ask you a question. Real quick, and then we'll move on, because I know we've reached the top of the hour. Have you ever considered, and I think we've asked you this before, doing your own sports podcast?
Well, I had a different idea in mind, actually.
All right. But
I'll talk about it off the air too. I don't want. We'll save that maybe for another show.
All right.
So it'll be to be continued. It'll be an interesting idea that I'm thinking in the back of my head right now. Maybe I'll talk to you all about it if you guys will stay for a few more minutes off the air. So we'll discuss it then. If you guys are cool with that. I know it's 10 o'clock.
Maybe we should give Mr. Lane his own show.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I'll discuss that with my horseman friends at length. So we'll see
All
about
right.
that.
All right. Well, we will discuss that. Anyway, it is 10 o'clock, 10:01 here. Time to wrap things up with final thoughts. I will go first. Big weekend here in a couple of American cities. Philadelphia, Pope Francis came. The city did a really good job, even though they didn't get as many people as they thought. Pretty cool event just to see everybody come together. I didn't attend it, but I got to work from home on Friday, which I don't normally do, so thanks, Pope. But besides that, have a great week, guys, and getting into October, getting close to Halloween. Get pumped, get ready. Oh, I have 2 announcements also. I forgot to do this. 2 announcements. 1, we will have our 2nd annual Halloween Horsemen Hangout coming up in October near the hangout, where the panelists will ask to dress up, and we'll have Halloween-themed hangout. So you don't have to dress up crazy, but if you have like a hat, Mr. Z last year was Walter White, I think. So I don't know. And my 2nd announcement is in the works. We have since it's the political debate season, the election season, we will have a formal Horseman Hangout debate coming in this new fall season, where I will be the moderator, and it will be debate style. I will ask the questions, and the panelists will debate key topics, key issues in the wrestling sports world. So look out for that. That's coming on the horizon too. I'm planning that. So anyway, have a good week. And Mr. Z, your final thought.
My final thought is just very glad to be back on. I know I've been had a lot of issues to deal with in the past couple months, and glad to be back. Thank you, guys.
Welcome back.
Glad to have you back, Mr. Z. You are our brother. So, Mr. Rue, your final thoughts.
I'm excited for the Halloween season. I saw Trevor Noah debut on The Daily Show. He did a fine job, although not really my cup of tea in terms of, laughing out loud. He did a great job, though, for his first time on The Daily Show. And also a plug for Root TV. New character is probably going to debut this week. His name is Herb Crackerjack. Watch it on the Root TV on the YouTubes. That's all.
Herb Crackerjack. Mr. Lane, your final thoughts.
Well, I will explain maybe an idea that I've been brainstorming potentially. I know Rue had asked me about this a few minutes ago, but it's an idea. I'll explain hopefully on the next episode of the Horseman Hangout. So follow us on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Thank you for your support, and I'll explain my idea eventually. So stay tuned, everybody.
All right, there you go. Steve, any final thoughts?
Just like I usually say, thanks for having me on here. You can follow me on Twitter at TripleHGuy2004. I tweet about wrestling mainly, sometimes sports, funny memes, the occasional Major League 2 references.
Steve, your memes really are the best. I have to say that. They always crack me up.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Thank you. All right, that should wrap it up here. It's 10:05. Been a good hangout. So we'll keep with it in the fall season here. Everybody have a good week. We'll see you back here ASAP. Right on. And
All
have a good week.
right.
Woo!
Take care.
Woo!